Meanwhile, the recent lowering of the repo rate has exerted a marginal positive impact on the Afrimat Construction Index. The ACI has now improved for 3 quarters in succession. This is the first time since the pandemic-related lockdowns, re-establishing a familiar trend in the construction sector at large. Independent analyst Roelof Botha joins us now to unpack the print in greater detail. Thank you so much for your time, Roelof. Now, we got employment figures out for the fourth quarter of 2024 today. Construction was one of the negative employment contributors. Even in the GDP print for the fourth quarter, construction declined by 0.4%. So it shed some light on the uptick in the Afrimat Construction Index in the fourth quarter.
Yes, the construction value added in the GDP that you just referred to, you are quite correct. That declined 2% year on year. There was an improvement on a quarterly basis, but that only includes the value added by contractors. And that's one of the reasons why Andries van Heerden, the CEO of Afrimat, and myself got together quite a while ago, many years ago, and we felt there was a need for an index of construction activity that is a little bit more, broader, that encompasses the whole sector. And that's why we have these 10 indicators. So if we look at the just one very important indicator, which is part of the Afrimat Construction Index, the building materials produced. This is a pretty big figure we're talking about. That is up 6.7% year on year. And the sales of building materials also 5.4% up year on year. The employment in construction, according to the QLFS of Stats SA, is 2.8% up year on year. So that sort of, it's a bit of a contradiction with the GDP figure, but certainly there's life in construction. The QLFS employment data is, the sample group is quite impressive. So I like to believe those figures.
Roelof, then what are the key highlights that have come through looking at the different indicators of the Afrimat Construction Index?
Yes, certainly. 5 of the 10 indicators are positive year on year, and 5 are negative year on year, which is a pity. And strangely enough, on a quarter-on-quarter basis, it's also 5 negative, 5 positive, but they're not in the same teams. So the big positive is the employment creation, as far as I'm concerned, because this economy is in desperate need for more jobs.
Yeah.
For every job that is created in South Africa, you have a virtually immediate broadening of the tax base. Because if you have a job, you're earning money, you're spending money, you're paying VAT and a host of other taxes. And within 30 days, there's a positive tax backflow back to SARS. The more jobs we can create, the better for all of us, because it can eventually lead to a reduction in tax rates, not an increase as we just had seen in the VAT rate. So job creation should be our only economic priority, and I'm afraid government is not quite doing enough on that score.
Yeah. Roelof, we've had 3 successive quarters of improvement in the ACI. Could this mean that construction has reached the bottom of its downward cycle?
Most certainly. I've got very little doubt about that. The other positive that we've picked up is that there is certainly still a lot of optimism after the formation of the Government of National Unity. We've seen a new Minister of Infrastructure and Public Works reach out to the private sector. He was instrumental in arranging the Durban summit, where the so-called Durban Declaration was signed by representatives senior from the police, National Treasury, and his department himself, to try to get rid of the construction mafia. And we've had 3 interest rate declines. It hasn't been enough. Our prime rate is still 11%, and the real prime rate, if you deduct the 3.2% inflation rate from that, is still 7.8%. That is 3 times higher. I'm going to repeat that. That's 3 times higher than the average real commercial lending rate in our key trading partners. So if we can lower interest rates, and the National Logistics Crisis Committee can get cracking and follow Barbara Creesy's example at Transport to become, for formal arrangements to involve the private sector in infrastructure maintenance, and expansion, then the sky is the limit as far as construction activity is concerned.
I mean, Roelof, from the infrastructure investment that has been committed to by Treasury, how soon then can we expect a significant injection in the construction sector?
It could happen quite quickly. It would happen a lot faster if we can have lower rates. But in the interim, my advice has been for many years is for National Treasury that if you announce in the budget that you're going to build a dam in that part of South Africa and you're going to build a couple of roads in these other parts in those provinces, give us a timeline. Give us a little bit more detail. When is the tender going out? Which companies have been approved for this tender? Have you made sure that there's no corruption? Has the private sector been involved in the tender evaluation and the writing of the technical specification? We need them not to only just tell us what they want to do, but they need to tell us how much progress has been in this regard. That's the way it works in the private sector. In the private sector, you don't have time to waste. You need to get your product, your service on the market. Otherwise, you're out of the equation. And it's time that these two sectors, private and public, that they get together and that the public sector starts learning from the private sector how to get things done.
Yeah. Well, just as we wrap up the conversation, Roelof, are there any concerns that could put a lid in the positive sentiment that we're seeing in the construction sector?
Well, what worries me is that the Monetary Policy Committee seem to always be looking for new reasons to keep interest rates high. There's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't have lowered rates last week. Our prime rate, real prime rate, should be 5%, which means that we should have another 280 basis points of decline. If I'd been governor of the Reserve Bank, our prime rate at this point in time would have been 9%, not 11%.
Well, thank you very much for your time and for your insights. Then hopefully we can get that infrastructure investment working sooner rather than later. That was independent analyst Roelof Botha.